And good afternoon, everyone. Again, this is Robin Johnston with Bloom Intelligence. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our webinar this afternoon, Engaging Your Restaurant Guests with World-Class Email. Delighted to be co-presenting again this afternoon with Tyler Sutton from Emma. Tyler, how are you doing this afternoon?
Robin, I'm doing really well. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. Looking forward to unpacking a little bit of the relationship between Emma and Bloom for our guests today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
Good. Folks, if you've been using Bloom Intelligence for some time, then you're aware of the vast array of features and abilities that the package has to offer. There are two main components, of course, the intelligence engine, which collects and analyzes data about those visitors to your restaurants, and then the marketing hub, which makes those data actionable and gives you ways to reach and engage those customers. You're also familiar with the fact that the Bloom Intelligence platform really embraces email as its central communications mode. And this is Neil Patel, and if you scan the quote from Neil here, I think you get the sense of why he believes email is and should be a key communications mode. We really subscribe to the same philosophy. Of all of the channels that are available for us to help you communicate to your guests, there's really nothing that takes the place of email, and that's for three main reasons. Number one is it's very personal. It's personal and can be personalized. Number two, despite texting and WhatsApp and all sorts of other platforms and modes that we have for getting messages to people, people still continue to check email several times a day. In fact, most person-to-person messages, period, are sent by email still today. It's the most prevalent communications mode. Finally, email is highly customizable. I think you're going to see as we get into the Emma demo portion of our webinar this afternoon what some of those options are and why we really embrace the partnership we have with Emma to extend your ability to deliver world-class messages to your guests using the Emma platform in concert with Bloom Intelligence. Now, when we talk about email, of course, we're not just talking about sending a message, sending a blast to everyone in an undifferentiated fashion. We're really talking about how you can segment your house list and start sending messages that are much more customized, much more targeted and focused than would previously have been possible. In the Bloom Intelligence platform, as you realize, we have the ability through the ways we collect data to give you all of the data you see here on the screen, and in some cases more. This can give you the opportunity to create highly segmented lists where you can send offers to people, messages, ratings requests that are very relevant to their unique situation and relationship with your business. How do we help you build those lists? Again, you realize that our Wi-Fi landing page is the fundamental access point for everyone who wants to use your Wi-Fi system. And that's really the main touch point where we begin to develop what we call a customer profile, collect that all-important email address, and then either through promotions and features on that landing page or subsequently using our progressive profiling module, we're allowing you to gather and update information that can expand what you know about those guests. But it starts on the landing page. The progressive profiling piece I just mentioned is where you can, when a guest comes back to your location, the landing page will sense that this is a return visitor and that we already have a profile started for that visitor, and then we'll begin to ask those visitors for additional information to round out that profile. So for example, if I had visited a Bloom location and I'd entered my email address and nothing more, then on my next visit it might say, "Welcome back, Robin. Would you mind sharing your phone number? Would you mind sharing the zip code in which you reside? Would you mind sharing some other piece of data?" And in that way, over time, the Bloom system develops a very rich profile about who I am as a guest. Now, for you as a marketer, you have much more information available to you to begin crafting those highly targeted, segmented messages. Finally, we have integrated data validation for email in particular. So at the instant that someone enters an email address into our system, we can validate that, and in a high percentage of instances, we can determine right off the bat whether that's a valid email address or not. If it's not a valid email address, we first of all will not let the guest use your Wi-Fi, and secondly, we'll give them a message to let them know that if they want to move forward, they're going to have to provide a valid email address. So the combination between collecting data really at the main point of entry on the landing page, subsequently collecting additional data through progressive profiling, while simultaneously making sure that we're delivering clean lists into your system, is what Bloom does to help you build that strong and valid email list. At this point, I'm going to turn over control to Tyler, who will talk a little more about how the Emma system connects with Bloom Intelligence and some of the things you can do in their state-of-the-art email platform that really enhance what you would be able to do in the Bloom platform. Tyler, take it away.
Thanks, Robin. Let me get this screen flipped over. And yeah, just as Robin was saying, really excited to share with you a little bit about what Emma can offer if you're using the Bloom platform and how they pair really well together. And so what we're going to do, just to start out with, before we walk through some of those features that are available for you in Emma, should you use the platform, and just talk a little bit about what Emma is. So if you're not familiar with what Emma does or have never experienced a platform before, we're actually an email marketing platform that is designed to help marketers and through a lot of different industries, but most often through like multi-location businesses. So things like franchises, restaurants in particular, and fitness studios, among other industries, but really designed to help marketers in those areas develop and collaborate on beautiful looking email campaigns while also using a pretty robust analytics platform again, to reach out to your customers, to engage them, and hopefully help you to reach those goals for your business. And there is an integration available between Bloom. So if you are using the Bloom Intelligence platform and using Emma, there is an integration available for it. It's super simple to set up. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about what Emma can offer once that integration is set up for you. Now, what the screen that you're actually seeing right now is part of our HQ account type, or Emma HQ account type. Now, this is pretty relevant if you are a restaurant owner or your business has multiple locations. It's a really great platform to consider because you have the parent level, would be a good way to describe it. And this is what you're looking at right now, which is the HQ activity dashboard. And you're also able to have sub-accounts for your different locations underneath that bigger umbrella level. So this is really helpful. It's helpful as well to keep all of these locations separate. So there's not any crossover between this from the HQ level. So we can navigate in between these. So each of the location sub-accounts are kept separate and really nicely organized. And from the HQ platform here, this dashboard, you can see that we have some aggregate analytics for all of our sub-accounts to be able to tell how our account is performing. And then we also have a view down below where you can actually see the sub-account activity in particular. It looks like Portland's been sending a good bit lately. So you can see the sub-account, the mailing name, and then some quick analytics on that particular mailing. So among other things, we do have some great admin tools from this HQ platform. So most notably adding additional users, managing sub-account details, billing, and then also assets, which is where you can actually create templates and campaigns to actually share down with your location sub-accounts. Now, if the HQ platform is not something that would be particularly useful for you, let's say if you're looking just for a standalone account, we certainly have that available as well. But we're going to go into the Portland sub-account, and this is going to be a reflection of whether you have a standalone account with Emma or go with that HQ platform. This is going to be a reflection of capabilities and features that everybody's going to have here. So we're going to navigate down into the Portland sub. And just going back to the opportunity in integrating Bloom with Emma, so you'll get that integration And in Bloom, Bloom Intelligence will have more information on how to hook that up from the Bloom Intelligence side. But the sync is actually a nightly sync, and it's going to sync over contacts along with some additional data points. And we'll show where those are actually populating here in the Emma account. But a really great way to take the analytics that you have in the Bloom platform and actually leverage them hands-on in your email marketing efforts. So in Emma, we actually are breaking up into 6 tabs. So we have Home, Audience, which is going to be where you manage your contacts and your lists, Campaigns, Response Data, Automation, and Insights. So we're going to actually walk through all of 6 tabs and give you a pretty good overview of some of those features that you have available to you in the Emma platform. Really the first feature that we'll cover, the first tab rather we'll cover, is the Home tab, which is going to give you a little bit more of a condensed look, so pretty similar to the HQ activity dashboard, but this is just particularly for this sub. This is Magnolia's. It's a brand, a restaurant brand that has a couple different locations, and this one is in particularly this is Portland. So you'll have your analytics for the Portland location up top, along with recent mailing activity down below. You can see quickly how things performed. And if you're looking to access the response data a little bit more in depth, you can certainly select the mailing there or go to the response tab, which we'll cover a little bit later on in the session. We'll also have a calendar view over to the left-hand side, which is going to allow you to collaborate with your team. So showing some blue dots there, so that's mailings that we've recently sent. It'll also track if you have any mailings scheduled to send out, which is very helpful, especially if you have a couple of different users on your marketing team building out campaigns and looking to collaborate on that. So under the Audience tab, as I mentioned before, this is actually where you're going to be able to manage your contacts. And this is actually where the Bloom integration will sync to. So I want to talk a little bit about how that populates in your Emma account and a couple of different features that you can take advantage of to get even more out of that integration. So in Emma, we actually have a model called what we call a contact model. And it basically just means that we use the email address as the unique identifier. So you'll most notably never have any duplicates in your account. So we'll dedupe everything. And that also means that we will update information. So as information, those analytics in the Bloom Intelligence platform changes, and that gets synced over to Emma, we'll automatically tell that we already have a specific contact in our account, and then we'll just update that additional information. And then it also means that you'll have a full list of your contacts and just a full list of your contacts regardless of how you're going to organize those. And that will give you a good idea of how many total contacts do you have on your email list. But in addition to that, you need a way to organize that. And that's where groups come in with Emma. And so you can see a couple of examples of how you may leverage groups here. So things like we have one for our internal marketing team here at Magnolia. We have an all customers group. We even have a catering list and then a VIP customers group as well. So these are individual lists that we can use to organize that larger list. And this is actually where the Bloom Intelligence platform, this is where your contacts will actually sync over to. So it will always be syncing to a specific group. Again, it's a nightly sync. And it is a one-way sync. So one-way meaning from Bloom to Emma. So anything that happens in Bloom will get upgraded or updated rather to the Emma platform. And it will also bring over different contact fields, what we call them in Emma. So these are things like the contact's email address, first name, last name, zip code, source for sign up. These are those context fields here. You can actually manage those yourself. In Emma, you can see we have a couple of different options there, even like drink choice, birthday, zip code, anything like that. So these are the additional data points that you have on your subscribers. Additionally, with our subscriptions feature, this is actually a relatively new feature in Emma. And if you have multiple content threads, so a couple of examples that we have here are things like weekly specials, recipes, and special events. you can actually filter people into different subscriptions, and that will allow you to manage your content flow a little bit better. So rather than using groups for that, you can keep those broader buckets like all customers, your VIP customers, and then send specific relevant content based on the subscriptions that those contacts are a part of. Now, also in Emma, we have a great system for segmentation. And segmentation, if you've experienced segmentation in the past, maybe you haven't, segmentation is going to be a great way to filter your list. If you're looking for specific subsets of your contacts, then segmentation is going to be perfect for you. So you can build segments in Emma based off of 4 different criteria. And those criteria are audience. So between groups and segments, you can say, is a contact in a particular group or not? So you can say, find all of my contacts that are in my catering group, or all of my contacts that are a part of the special events subscription. You can base your segment off of fields. So those contact fields, email, first, last name, customer type, source sign up, anything like that, birthday, even drink choice. You can also base them off of response data, have or have not received, opened or clicked, and then sign up activity. So lots of opportunities for you to drill down your contact list and find those specific subsets that you're looking for. Another great thing about segments is that they are dynamic, meaning that they're based on those 4 criteria, so audience, fields, response data, and sign-up activity. If a subscriber at any time meets a list of criteria that you have built out for a segment, they'll automatically be updated into Emma. It doesn't matter if they've been in Emma for a year or they just got added today. If they do meet that criteria for the segment that you've built out, they'll automatically be updated. And if they no longer meet that criteria, then they'll automatically drop out. So that dynamic nature is going to help you and make sure that you have the freshest list possible, or the freshest segment count possible for you there. And this is all real time as well. So if we add other criteria on, test see subscription and special events, and we want to know who hasn't opened a mailing in the last 30 days, we can build that out, and you see we get real-time tracking on who are those 6 contacts that actually meet the criteria that we've laid out here. So you can always save your segments and come back to them a little bit later. And again, mentioning that dynamic nature, that these are always refreshing and updating to make sure you have the most updated count of your segment. So there's just a few opportunities under the audience section that you're going to be able to use to, number 1, organize your contacts, but also find those specific subsets and subscriptions that are ultimately going to allow you to deliver the relevant content that you're going to be presenting under the campaigns tab. And that's a great transition over to showing you a little bit about what Emma's drag and drop editor is all about. Now, we can certainly create a new campaign from here, but what I want to do is actually just jump into a draft, and we'll go into the summer menu, content A. And you can see we have some content built out. This is a draft that we've been working on. And all of your content is going to be here, right here in the middle. We can scroll down and see what that content is. I want to talk to you a little bit about how this drag and drop editor works. So we have our left-hand side. We've got all the blocks that are going to be available for you to leverage to create a beautiful looking mailing like this one. So a couple of image blocks, a text block, image and text combo block, a button, and then a couple of specialty blocks down here as well, including an integration with Eventbrite, if you're using that, a video block integrated with YouTube and Vimeo directly, and an RSS feed block as well. So how this works is if you are looking to add a specific block, we're just going to grab a text block here, and we're going to click, and we're going to drag that over, and you can see we can actually drop it in any spot here where it's indicated. Go ahead and drop it there. and we can certainly dive in to edit that text. You'll be presented with a full text bar up top. So if you use any sort of text editing software, this is pretty standard, really easy to use. Your images, you can present that, and you can add new images, or you can choose them from your image gallery. So we do queue up those images that you're using in your mailings, or even images that could be created or imported at the HQ level and shared down to you. We do queue those up into a gallery. So you can always go back and find images that you've used in the past. You can import new images here. We do take 3 different file types, including GIF animation, so that's really fun. All to allow you to create visually great looking mailings for your subscribers. Now, another great thing about the drag and drop editor is that we give you a lot of reign on the formatting as well. So every block comes with the yellow bar up here. And so the crosshair is going to allow you to do things like move content around, duplicate blocks, and delete them. And then the gear icon will allow you for a little bit more additional formatting options here. So I'm just going to add a random background color so you can see what I'm talking about here. So using the meters, you can actually adjust the margin and padding. So you can see the little bit of a difference there between the margin and padding. And you can also adjust that by dimension as well. So really whatever you're looking for in terms of formatting, you've got it available in Emma, all with the drag and drop editor and even formatting those blocks. What's also really fun is that we save your mailing every 15 seconds, so you don't have to worry about actually manually clicking save. We do have a preview feature in app that's going to allow you to see your mailing on desktop, mobile, and a tablet view. So you can see a desktop, mobile, and tablet. In addition to that, we do have a send test feature, and so you can communicate with your team internally, send them a test of the email, and drop notes to them to say, hey, I'm planning to send this at noon. I need your edits by 10. It's a really great collaborative experience in creating mailings. And then once you're satisfied with how your mailing looks, you'll go over to review and send and set up the process before we go send it off. And the first thing that you'll do here is select your audience, and we give you the opportunity to select between groups or segments. Drop your subject line here in your pre-header text. If you are using Google Analytics, we're actually directly integrated with GA, so you can just simply add your campaign title over to the bottom left-hand side. So we'll select an audience here. And then finally, you can send now or schedule this for later. So if you're looking for a little bit more of an advanced experience with campaigns, we actually do provide that as well in the form of A/B testing. And we've all heard to some degree about A/B testing. And in Emma, we give you a lot of opportunity to do that. The thing about A/B testing is you actually do need to create 2 mailings before you get into it. But that's always really simple by this drop down here of building out that first mailing. And then you can always come here and duplicate that mailing to change that testing variable. But how you actually access the testing feature is you can go over to click create a new campaign, switch over to A/B test. We'll give our test a name. And from left to right, we're going to add our mailing content for our A and our B version. And then over on the right-hand side, we actually have our test settings. So we'll give you a lot of flexibility in how you want to deliver your test and conduct them. So our test group size, we are free to adjust that for as few as 20% of your group, or excuse me, of your list of recipients will be available for testing, and up to 90%. We even allow you to split your audience in half. We do give you the option to flex on your test duration. So for testing 20% of our audience, we can do as little as 1 hour of testing, or as most as 8 hours of testing. And then finally, we have our testing, our winner criteria. We give you a couple different options here as well. Most notably, highest click rate on entire mailing. That's going to take into account all clicks on a mailing. We have most clicks on a specific link. Highest open rate for testing things like subject line and from name. And then we also let you choose the winner manually. So for our purposes, you can see from our content here that we're actually testing the top graphic. So this does the top graphic, the header graphic is different here, but we're all calling out our summer menu. We just want to know which graphic is the most engaging. So for this case, we're probably going to use most clicks on a specific link. So we have our A and B version here. We'll just drop in, it's the same exact link. It's a link to our summer menu. We'll drop that in there and be ready to set our audience down at the bottom. We can set the time it's scheduled to send out. We're going to do this tomorrow at 3, and then we can go ahead and send that test. So really helpful to better understand your audience and deliver more relevant content moving forward in your email marketing. Now, the last couple of things I wanted to show you as we're landing the plane on this demo would be some analytics opportunities for you in Emma. So the first opportunity there is just going to be analytics for a single mailing. And we're actually going to use the summer menu email here. And here's the single mailing analytics here. All the analytics that you would ever need for an email campaign, they're all right here. Open, click to open rate, delivery balance, and opt-out. Scrolling down, you're going to get a preview of your content right directly in the middle of the page, along with the left-hand side showing opens by device and opens by email client. And then you will have access to a click activity heat map, so you can flip that switch on, and that'll show you the user's experience and where they gravitated towards clicks. We had a couple of clicks up here in the header. Most of those clicks came on our summer menu as expected. All the way down, skipped over the gift card, but we did have some intrigue on our summer cocktails list. If you're looking for a little bit more in-depth look into some of these actions, you can use these tabs up top. So we'll break down each of these for you specifically. And to show you what that looks like, we'll go into the opens category. And you can see specifically, we have their first and last name through the Bloom Intelligence integration, and we have their email. So we actually see specifically who took these actions, who opened this mailing, and at what time point that they opened that mailing as well. And one of my favorite features of Emma is if I wanted to, let's say, do a resend of this, and maybe I wanted to suppress this, anybody that opened this particular email, or maybe I wanted to reach out to them directly with some even, something additional that's related to our summer menu. I know they're interested in it because they opened it. So I can actually just save this tab as a segment. And I mentioned segments earlier. It's the dynamic filter feature under the audience tab. So this will create an automatic segment for you. It is dynamic. So even after the fact that we've created it, if more people open it, they're going to be pulled into that segment automatically, which is really fun. In addition to single mailing response, we'll give you access to your account insights as well. And this is actually a pretty new feature, and we're really excited to roll this out to give you a more in-depth look at how your account is performing and some of the key metrics that most marketers are really interested in on the email front. So under the engagement tab here, we're going to give you a look into that, including things like total campaigns sent, total emails, delivery rate, unsubscribe, and bounce rate. This is all dependent upon your custom date range that you can set here. We'll scroll down and show you campaign performance trends. Show you that really quick. And then an engagement heat map. So this, to break down this chart here, we've got our days of the week on the left-hand side, our timestamps at the bottom, and then over to the right-hand side, we have the counts of that. And we can sift between opens, clicks, and send time to see what we're looking at here. So you can see right there On Monday at 2 p.m., we sent out a campaign, had 44 opens on that campaign, which is pretty high. We'll go over to clicks. We can see the same thing here in send time as well. So it's looking like between 11 and 2 p.m. is a really great send time for us on Monday. We'll also give you growth metrics to let you know your audience growth for the week or for the custom date range that you have. Subscribers lost, and then obviously break down those trends for you in a graph form. Finally, on our Trends tab, this is more directed at the specific send time and the specific content that you're sending out. So you can see the send time results. Looks like 2 to 3 p.m. on Monday there. We're going to wait until the 2nd and 3rd before we make our decision on what time is best. But here's some of the trending content. So based on the clicks on your specific mailing, we'll break down your highest rated content and then also your subject lines as well. And you can see we do calculate in real time percent change in app. So you can see based on that previous date range, how is it comparing to what you're doing currently. Keep in mind with any analytics in Emma, you can always export those and then go compare those with the analytics that you have in Bloom. It's a really great opportunity to blend those two together. And speaking of blending those two together, automation is the final tab that we'll cover here on the Emma demo. And this works really well with the Bloom Intelligence platform. And if you were on our webinar a couple of weeks ago, Robin actually discussed that inside the Bloom Intelligence platform, you actually have a lot of opportunity for transactional automated messages, things like customer exit. So after they exit, you can automate a mailing to send to them or a notification. You can request a rating once someone arrives. You can do things like at risk, so they haven't showed up at your location. So lots of great opportunities, these more like transactional type mailings that can reach subscribers at pivotal points in their life cycle. Now with Emma, the advantage here is that you can also do automation. You can set up automated mailings to send out, but you have the access to the drag and drop editor. So you can create really beautiful looking mailings, things like a welcome email or a birthday, something that needs a little bit more visual presence there. This is what Emma's automation platform is all about. So I want to walk you through a couple of triggers that you'll have access to. Now in Emma's automation tool, it's a 6-step setup. It's really easy. That first step is going to be to name your workflow. You can see that we have an audience selection of groups and segments. And then your triggered event. Now, this is going to be very important, and really probably the most commonly used trigger that we find here in Emma is email sign up. So if you're looking to deliver that great looking welcome email that's going to reach your subscribers at the height of their engagement upon sign up, this is a great trigger to use here. This actually works really well with the Bloom platform. They're coming through the API, and so you can certainly trigger welcome emails coming through the API here. You have two options. You can, if you're using any of the sign-up forms in Emma, which we do have sign-up forms under the audience tab. We did not cover that, but we certainly have access to that. If you're using one of those sign-up forms for your website, you can certainly trigger off of that, or you can choose the all option, and that's going to cover the API. So as the integration, as contacts are syncing on a nightly basis, if you want a welcome email to send out to them immediately or the next day, you can use the email sign-up trigger to do so. Additionally, we have a date-based trigger. So this is going to be best for things like a birthday, or even if you have special events, if you have like a restaurant week, or if you have holidays specials, or maybe special dinner reservations. If you have specific events like dates and you have those in Bloom, or maybe you just have those as you're collecting off of a sign-up form, you can certainly have those in Emma and then trigger automation based off of those particular dates. Field change is really helpful. This is going to be particularly tied to the contact fields in your account, and some of those are mapped over from the integration. Others you can create yourself. But particularly how you would use this is if a contact field value changes for a particular contact. So for example, if a regular customer changes to a VIP customer and you had a VIP status or customer status field, and the value of that field says customer, and then it changes to maybe VIP customer, then you can trigger a mailing to say, welcome to our VIP list. Here's some things that you need to know to get the most out of your experience. You can also do things like if it's based off of specific preference of time visited to your location, or maybe particular drink choice or food choice, you can certainly trigger an automated message off of that. So really based around the contact fields and if those values change. And then finally, the last two opportunities I'll cover is our link click opportunities. This is particularly helpful if you're setting up an email to send out to promote, let's say, Restaurant Week, or let's say a specific event that you're hosting at the restaurant, or maybe even just happy hour or dinner reservations for the weekend. If you have specific links in those mailings that you're sending out and you're looking to follow up with some additional content, you can use one of our link click triggers. A really great example of this is if you're sending out an email about Restaurant Week and in your town, and you have a link in there to book a reservation, you can, if somebody clicks that link to book a reservation, you can follow up with, hey, here are some tips to get the most out of your experience on Restaurant Week, or here's a couple of other here's a couple of other menu items that we recommend when you come visit us. So you can use that link click trigger, and based on a contact's activity on that mailing, if they click that link, then you can follow up with that additional content. So this pairs really well with some of the opportunities that you'll have in the Bloom platform, and then the opportunities that you have here in Emma. It's all centered around reaching your subscribers at the appropriate time, at the right time, and delivering relevant content for them to engage with. Lastly, you'll actually add a mailing. Now you'll need to create your mailing prior to coming into automation, but simple as that, you can just select off of your drafts. You can certainly build out multiple mailings. So we're gonna add, let's say we're gonna add a 7-day wait period here, and we're gonna send out a second mailing. But one of my other favorite features in Emma is that we actually have branch logic that you can use based on subscriber activity. So if they opened or clicked a mailing, so we'll say, did the subscriber open that first mailing? We have a yes or no option. If they did, then we want to send them down one content path, or maybe we want to stop the automation altogether. And if they didn't, we want to follow up with maybe the same version, but we'll follow up with content B to see if that engages them a little bit better. The last two steps of the automation setup is just to save your workflow and then activate that. And so that'll bring us to the end of the Emma demo portion. So I'm going to turn it back over to Robin.
Great, Tyler. Thank you so much. Let me just kick back over to the other screen. There we go. So folks, that wraps up what we had planned to show you today. I wanted to discuss the integration between the Bloom Intelligence Platform and Emma, and really highlight why we partnered with Emma to bring you world-class customer emails. I think you'd have to agree that between the automation and the design editor and the other features that Tyler showed us, the Emma platform is both easy to use and has the capability to take the Bloom data and allow you to send much more engaging, effective customer emails directly from the Bloom platform.